All right, this is part two of the It's actually, I said lesson six last time. It's actually lesson five, but it's part two, and this is where we're going to focus on the text and finish up the text for this postcard. So first thing, we can make the Hawaii pop up real quick. This is going to give us our baseline of where we're going to put the next words underneath this that's going to say Island Paradise. So this one says Island Paradise. So I'm going to go to my text, and I'm just going to create a box under here like this. So now there's two ways for text, by the way. You can drag it like I just did to make a box, or you can actually just click somewhere and it'll just start writing from wherever you click. I like creating a box because it keeps it contained in that box. So I'm going to type Island Paradise right now. Island Paradise. And I'm not worried about capping it and all that. I'm just going to write Island Paradise, and I'll show you guys what we're going to do next to make it look the way we want. So now that I have written Island Paradise here, I'm going to highlight it, and then I'm going to go and start changing stuff. Now, real quick, I want to show y'all something. If y'all ever click off of your text and you go on another tool and you try to go back, it won't let you click on it. You can't go back and edit it. But there's two ways to do this. One way is to click on your text tool again, click on it, and now you can go back in there and edit it. Or just double click right here on this T, on this icon right here, and then it'll go back in there and let you edit it as well. Okay, so now that I'm right in here, I'm going to show y'all what's called the character options. Okay, so right here is where your basic tools are to change your text, but this is Photoshop, right? There should be much more than just these basic tools. And where you find those is if you go up to Window and go to Character, here's more options, much more detailed options. So the first thing we're going to do here is change the font to Birch. It's called Birch. STD regular. And that's STD for standard, not the STD you were probably thinking about. All right. The next thing you're going to do is change the size here. So here's this one right here is the size to 36. Now you can just highlight it and write 36, or you can actually move your mouse over here over this little icon and drag left or right when you click and change it that way too. Now this is a better way to do it if you're trying to find that perfect size, but in this case, I'm just going to put it right to 36. I probably should just typed it in there to make it quicker. The next thing I'm going to do is change this VA. Now what this VA does is it changes the spacing in between each letter. So watch what happens when I change this. See how each letter is starting to have more space in between it? This is a good way to help spread your letters out if you need to cover more ground but not yet be bigger, if that makes more sense. You don't want your text bigger, but you want it to cover more ground. So in this case, I'm going to write 250. Okay. And that looks pretty good so far. So I'm going to make sure I highlight it again. Okay. We're going to also change the color here. So here's the color option right here, this color, to like a light green. Okay. So let's see. I want it to look like a grassy green. Is that something like that? Almost kind of, maybe that's a little too dark. Something like that. Okay. So once I get it like that, the next thing I want to do is, okay, the VA didn't change, by the way. There it goes. Okay. 250. So it's getting close to matching Hawaii. The next thing I want to do is actually change the font to be all caps. So these T's right here, this one's for bold, so it's already bold. These though change certain things, like this is to make it italics. This one here, the double T's, will make it all caps. So I click it, all caps, and that's pretty close to the perfect size we want to be underneath Hawaii. Okay, it's not an exact match, but if I line it up right here, see that line right here, that purple line that went through, that's kind of helping me line it up. Okay, that looks pretty good. That's in the center, so it's centered, so it's going to be nice on both sides. And I have it right where I want it underneath Hawaii. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is with this text right here, I think that, let me make sure I'm doing everything I want on this one. Okay, I think that looks good. Okay, so now what I want to do with this text right here on Hawaii, you notice that it doesn't have a T next to it, meaning it's not an actual text. It's just someone has put the word Hawaii on here from a picture. It's like a sprite, okay? It's not actually text that I can go back and edit. So this, it's spelled right, it's good, but it's not something I can change. But I want to change it, okay? So what I want to do is I want to change the color of it. So I'm going to right click on Hawaii here on the icon, and I'm going to click where it says select pixels. And see how it selects just the pixels of Hawaii because that's all that's in that layer. Now I can color what's inside Hawaii. Now if I didn't do this and I went to like my paintbrush and I tried to color, change the color to like a red or something, it's hard to color in the lines, right? But with putting a pixel selection here, I can color, and look at that. It stays in between the lines, all right? But I'm not gonna add a specific paintbrush color here. I wanna add a gradient. So for gradients, you wanna go to, let me find it real quick it's inside the paint bucket, there it is. I can click it. There it goes, gradient, okay? And now what gradients do is it creates like a multitude of colors blended into each other. Usually a gradient's like just 1 to 2 or 2 colors, but you can go crazy and add even like, a rainbow effect. Or here's a rainbow, like that. And wherever you kind of drag that line is how the color paints onto it. If I go up and down, it goes up and down. If I do just a little one, it goes like that. So it's really neat. You can play with it and create some cool designs, but we don't want a rainbow. We want like a color that kind of matches this theme that we got going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click here. I'm going to pick one of the presets here because I want to go back to just 2 colors. And I'm going to change this color right here to like let me see actually, to like a yellowish orange. Okay. So I'm going to go here, orange. There we go, like that kind of orange, okay? And then over here, we'll just leave it on white. That looks pretty good, okay? So what I want to do is drag it so that the white is at the top like that and the orange is at the bottom. Now, if I want less white at the top, I just drag it up higher. At that point, there's no white. I want it to kind of look a little bit more than that, okay? Probably had it better the first time I did it. So that looks pretty good, okay? So now that you guys have it like that, we're almost done. The next thing we're going to do is make sure that the text pops out just right. Because as you can tell right now, the text is kind of blending a little bit too much with the background, or it makes it kind of hard to see. We want it to pop. We want it to pop out, okay? And so to make it pop out, what we're going to do is go to our layer styles right here that we did earlier, and we're going to go ahead and give it some shadows. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to drop shadow. Okay. And now what's cool about drop shadow is that, there's blend options. There's how dark do you want the shadow? How much do you want it to spread out? We're going to make the spread of it, the distance, how far away it goes. So look, see that? See how it distances out? We're going to make the distance 5. We don't want it to be too much. We're going to make the spread 10. That's just kind of like, the shadow's not really liney and, edgy. It's more spread out. And then the size of it, just how big the shadow is itself. We're also going to change that to 10. Let's see, I'm going to change this to 30 real quick. Okay, spread 30 looks better. And it goes by percent. That's probably why I thought it was a number. So it's 30%. And then the angle. Now the angle's fine. We want the shadow to kind of be like on the bottom part, like as if the sun's coming from the top. So that looks good. I think that makes it just pop out enough there. Like if I click this, look at the difference that makes and how much that word pops out. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, I think I like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, we can even change, let me see if I change the opacity just a little to make it darker. Let's change this to 75. Okay, see how much darker that is? I like that better. That's much better. Okay, so I'm going to click OK now. So that looks good. Hawaii looks good. Now what's cool is we just did this to Hawaii. Now we could do the same thing to Island Paradise, or you can take this little FX here and copy it. So if I hold down Alt while I click this, it makes a copy, and then I can let go of it on Island Paradise, and it adds a shadow there as well. I can even add that shadow up here to this flower if I wanted to. So like I can add it right here. So there's a shade on there. I can add it to this one, creating like a shadow effect on all that stuff to make them look a little bit more, realistic. I kind of don't like the one on the pink though. Looks a little too dark, but maybe, I don't know, it looks okay, I guess. We'll just leave it. But there you go. There's your postcard, guys. The postcard's completely finished. Hopefully you learned something watching these videos if you're able to try it out and and make one or follow along with me, that's great. Just like I said, watching these videos, you'll get the credit for this. This one will be due right before Christmas, but I'll remind you guys of that. All right. Have a good Christmas break.